For the better part of a week, the two Citizen Sleeper games were pretty much the only things on my mind at any given time of day. Watching the wildcard round of the NFL playoffs, I was thinking about the seat I had earned on a colony ship that could have been my ticket to a new life, but how I'd given that spot away to a desperate parent and their precocious child. Podcasting with Yahtzee and Jay about whatever random topic came to mind on Windbreaker, I was light years away, thinking about whether I should have spent another turn trying to plunder some much-needed supplies from a derelict space station instead of playing it safe and escaping before it crumbled apart. As I counted my conservative spoils, I'd realized that I didn't have enough money for both food and medicine that cycle. When 2 a.m. rolled around on a weeknight and it was a good opportunity to get some sleep before an early meeting the next morning, well, I probably wouldn't have been able to sleep anyways after the revelation I'd discovered regarding my sleeper and the dark secret from their past that I just couldn't outrun, no matter how well my dice rolls fell. So what's the harm in putting in another few minutes that quickly turned into another few hours, culminating in the rising sun peeking through my window? I'll be thinking about my replay of 2022's Citizen Sleeper and my first playthrough of its new sequel, Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector, for a long, long time. These games are just that good, and I cannot recommend them enough, assuming you're okay with a bit of not-so-light reading. The best way to describe them is as choose-your-own-adventure sci-fi novels where the fate of each decision rests on the roll of a dice. You play as a titular sleeper, a synthetic body that houses an emulated version of someone's mind from somewhere far across the galaxy. Think Replicants and Blade Runner, complete with the messy ideas of what actually makes a human human, and you're in the right space park.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
Each in-game day is called a cycle. At the start of each cycle, you're given 5 dice, randomly assigned to a numerical value of 1 through 6. The story unfolds as you choose which dice to consume across a multitude of skill check actions, like hacking into a computer, trying to pry open a locked door, or working a shift behind a sketchy spacebar. The difficulty of an action plus your own innate skills are then combined with the value of the dice you decide to use, and that's what determines how successful you are at a given task. That sounds complicated, but you'll get the hang of it very quickly, which is good because you'll just as quickly realize that you simply do not have enough actions and resources to accomplish everything you want to do, let alone everything you need to do just in order to survive another day. So tough decisions need to be made. At any given moment, you're juggling a multitude of stories, tasks, and desires that all weave in and out of one another to create a science fiction tapestry that truly feels alive. Planning how you're going to spend each cycle releases the same problem-solving endorphins I get from managing a month in Persona, a day in Majora's Mask, or just a random hour of my actual life. As you can probably tell, a lot of Citizen Sleeper involves you reading the game's prose. Now, the internet at large often bemoans the quality of writing in games, and I see where they're coming from, while also empathizing with the writers themselves. The unfathomable complexity of AAA development often means that writing is changed, scrapped, or brought in at the 25th hour to accommodate the constant fluctuation of design, mechanics, and overall structure. On the whole, I'd say that most games writing is fine, which makes the examples that stand out all the more special. In the AAA space, you have your Portals, your Last of Us's, your Psychonauts, and your Red Deads, and indies have Disco Elysium, Outer Wilds, Immortality, Kentucky Route Zero, and 1,000 Times Resist. I mention these all because I would honestly put up the two Citizen Sleeper games right alongside any of the aforementioned examples in terms of just sheer quality of writing. The kind of writing that delivers a world that existed long before I got there and will continue to press on long after I'm gone. These games marry the heady ideas of William Gibson and sheer humanity of Jeanette Winterson with the atmosphere and sci-fi spin on the gig economy life of something like Cowboy Bebop. That last point is important. While the first game focuses on you trying to find your place in a sprawling city, the sequel is about charting your own course throughout the cosmos. This involves the addition of your own ship, which quickly starts to feel like home as you bring aboard all sorts of wayward stragglers. Recruiting a motley crew of fellow oddballs to join you on your ship made it feel like Watanabe's iconic anime. As my found family continued to grow in number, I could so easily imagine the cramped quarters filling with the stories of adventures. The wins, the losses, the close calls, and just the quiet moments that helped reinforce the idea that no matter how bleak things might get, we were still alive and we were not alone. For no reason in particular, that's nice to be reminded of. In Citizen Sleeper, characters are complicated, with their own actions and motivations often residing in a kind of moral gray area that makes your own decisions all the tougher. When I'm given choices in a game, I usually try to take the pure and altruistic route. But in this world, that flavor of morality simply doesn't exist. There isn't enough time, not enough resources to save everyone. And often, helping one person means pissing someone else off. Every decision adds to that weight, and you have no choice but to carry it. While Starward Vector is mostly a standalone sequel with a new protagonist to embody, I'm glad I replayed the original right before starting it. There are enough callbacks and thematic through lines, and seeing a handful of characters who crossed over made the returns feel all the more special. If anything I've said so far makes it sound like Citizen Sleeper might be something up your alley, I highly recommend taking the plunge. Each one clocked in at under 10 hours, both games are available on pretty much every platform including Game Pass, and they even run great on portables as I jammed through both on my Steam Deck. Weeks later, I am still thinking about so many of my Sleeper's decisions across the two games. It didn't matter how big or important a given choice might be. From grabbing a late night meal at a diner, or befriending a stray cat, to leading a colony-wide uprising, or discovering a capital T truth about the very universe itself. The decisions were mine and mine alone, and at the end of the journey, I wouldn't have had it any other way.